When did I decide to come out?
That's a funny question because I've never actually come out.
This may be the day. Here it is.
What's one thing you want people to know about you?
Don't judge a book by its cover.
I'm not as scary as I might look.
I am the biological mother of a 6, almost 7-year-old daughter.
I like country music.
I'm a registered nurse.
I love to love, I love to laugh. I'm a hairdresser.
I am a drag queen.
My upbringing has nothing to do with who I am. My sexuality has even less to do with how I love.
I've just always known that I was gay.
I first started liking people of the same gender around the 8th grade.
I would say I'm probably 8 years old, thanks to Janet Jackson in that Red Velvet HBO special.
I always felt different. I never felt like I really fit in or was a girl.
I went to college and realized that I had a sexual attraction to other women.
It just was like but then I kind of like would suppress it or try to hide it.
Definitely by 9th grade though, when you start going to the gym, you start to realize, okay, this isn't normal, but hey, we're gonna roll with it and see what happens.
I don't know, my mom had a friend that was gay, and so I felt like it was cool until I started like going to church or like, I don't know, kind of liking girls and like pointing out that I like girls. In the South, it's hard to be queer, it's hard to be black. So the biggest challenge I would say is just being myself, trying to be as comfortable as possible in a state that's just kind of like, nah, we want you to be uncomfortable, we don't necessarily want you here type of vibe.
I grew up in a very religious church. They weren't very accepting of different lifestyles. So I was very quiet about it, very shy, very timid. It was very difficult, very lonely.
Dating people of the same gender didn't bring a lot of trouble or controversy my way just because of the people that I grew up around. They were pretty cultured. It wasn't until I started going back and forth from same-sex relationships to heterosexual relationships that I started having like difficulty and had to come out.
Before I came out, it was definitely almost like a confused state. I had a couple of boyfriends and it was just like, ugh, this is gross. I don't like being with these guys.
It was just like a really huge balancing act that I did not like. I couldn't act too effeminate because then I'm a sissy.
I was always nervous in public or like didn't want anybody from my hometown to see.
I'd feel uncomfortable. I was always stressed out.
Because then if one person saw, then everybody knew.
And that wasn't like really the life I wanted.
For a while it was scary, only because I felt like my family wouldn't accept me. And I knew that they wouldn't, but at some point I was just kind of like something I would just have to deal with.
Just because it's not cookie cutter or what's expected or the norm per se, it still felt right and the best thing for me to do. So I had to get over the fact of being worried about other people judging me.
It is what it is. If I'm going to be happy and be content with who I am, like it doesn't necessarily matter how they feel. So I just did it.
I never came out and said I like women. I didn't have to. I just started dating women. But I did have to come out to mostly LGBTQ friends that I was pansexual, and that's the coming out I remember when I think about coming out on National Coming Out Day, having to explain that it doesn't mean that I'm unsure or I'm going through multiple phases, but that this is just who I am. I just don't care about gender.
I didn't come out to my parents until 2010. I was a freshman in college. I was home for winter break. And I left them a letter.
I decided to come out like at some point in high school. It was just kind of like I had a girlfriend. Like I didn't, I didn't like have like a thing. It wasn't like, hey, let me go tell my parents or my family or my friends. It was just kind of like, hey, I like this girl. She likes me. Let's be gay.
I was in college and I was just able to, college, you go and you're by yourself. You're able to really be who you want to be. Yeah, that was my time to be out, be proud. So by the time I went home, I was like, hey mom, here's my girlfriend.
I was dating a girl, my very first girlfriend at the time. I was very nervous to tell my grandmother because I knew that that may hurt her. I just knew that she had this idea in her mind of what things would be like as I grew up.
Specifically with my family, I just one day just decided this is very important for me to do.
It was really coming to a space of understanding that this is who I am, and if people say that they love you, they need to truly be able to understand who you are in order for them to be able to say, yes, I love you, all of you.
When I first told my friends that I was pan, I was really scared because I got so much judgment from them.
I had like a bunch of family problems like after that, and so it kind of disrupted the flow of things.
Literally, after I came out, my parents pretty much shut me out. They stopped talking to me for a while. It wasn't until Thanksgiving of 2011 that my parents and I actually had a conversation about my coming out letter, me being gay.
My mom, she was just like, oh, me. She was in denial for sure. But then after a while, she was just like, oh, okay, this is really who you want to be.
My grandmother, God rest her soul, you know, she got over it. At first she was hurt. I let her cool off a little bit, and then she came back around and, you know, accepted who I was. Once my grandmother accepted it, then my family had no choice but to, so.
My dad's final words, it's like at the end of the day, we don't have to agree with the choices that you make in your life, but one thing that we both agree on is that you're our son and we will always love you. That's all I needed.
I felt relieved that I could just like be myself.
Because it's like, all right, the secret's out. If they don't like it, oh well, that's not my issue. I'm living my life.
I felt proud. I felt genuine.
And that's the most beautiful thing in the world, is just to be your authentic self.
What I would say to people that are scared to come out and be themselves is,
Before you come out, like, make sure you have a strong like support system.
Find people on YouTube, find other role models and mentors that you look up to, and see how they navigated that space. Read other people's coming out stories, and then create the safe space for you to have your own. Being gay is not the worst thing that can happen. I actually think if that's a part of you, you have to love it, you have to accept it, and that makes it a beautiful thing, actually.
Coming out most definitely is a choice, but being yourself, you have no choice. You're going to be you. You can't hide that.
there will be people that will not understand you. Don't think that it's just because you're LGBTQ+. That's just life.
What you have to understand is that the people that love you and care about you unconditionally will still love you and care about you no matter what.
Be happy, be you.
And keep your head held high.
It's that diversity that makes, number one, a lot of the things that we do in the world, and specifically in the American society, one of the most vibrant of cultures that we have today. Just, you know, accept people and let people live and get to know them first before you try to cast judgment.
You can use this part.
Okay.